And welcome to American culture. I'm in the process of making this outfit out of a whole bunch of old jeans, so bear with me, but I think it's coming together. With that being said, we're going to talk about what it looks like to be scapegoated in a family situation and how do you deal with that, especially when the door keeps going back open for you to rejoin the scenario, so to speak. So yesterday I was talking to you guys mainly about what it looks like to be scapegoated in a business type of setting, or just basically in life. It's where something has gone awry, some problems have come up, but there are usually two parties or more involved, but the other side doesn't really want to take any responsibility or blame. So scapegoating happens when they want to say, hey, you've done this, the whole 9 yards. That way they can remove themselves from any type of accountability. Now, 9 times out of 10, this is going to involve some over exaggeration or either some lie. The reason for that is because when we lie, we often think that the person out there believes us. And since they do believe us, we also should know how they're going to react to that. And so I gave you guys 2 scenarios. I had one in a work type of dynamic and one with this lady who needed to deliver something to me. And I told you, what happened with me is that I had to tell both of them a truth. I've asked you, the person at work, if you're going to be able to make these types of changes to what is norm, just let me know so that I can accommodate you. And I also know how that particular delivery service works. So I'm not going to be blamed for why you don't go out there and do it. You can, you just don't want to. And when it came to the delivery, whenever she told me, hey, my kid is sick, she was expecting that I'd be like, oh, let me go ahead and make things convenient for you and come pick it up. You don't have to do that. But of course, I knew that that wasn't the truth, and I was just sort of out of the way. Like I told you guys yesterday, I would have much rather had liked her to say, hey, can I come on Saturday when I'm closer and in the area? I would have perfectly agreed to that. You see, what happens is the person who's scapegoating you needs to be able to see you as the bad guy. Once they can convince themselves of that, then all their blame, all their responsibility is completely absolved. And the way to counteract that is to simply tell them the truth. The same way that I did with the delivery lady. Hey, listen, it's not necessarily a convenience for me to need delivery. It's a necessity. I don't drive, and it doesn't make any sense for me to have to pay $30 to go pick up this product. The same way with the work scenario. Hey, listen, I know how this delivery service works. That's not it. You don't have to tell me all that stuff. Just let me know and I will do my best to accommodate you. With that being said, it's not that easy in a family dynamic because, as I said earlier, when you're getting scapegoated in business and life, lots of times there's an incentive for you to want to still continue to deal with the other party. And so once you shine the light of truth on things, people tend to stop lying to you and more or less tell you the truth. They know your behavior and whatnot, and they stick to that. But when you're dealing with family, they will never see you for who you are. They will always see you for who they want you to be. And so it's kind of hard to open up and simply tell them the truth of what's going on. A lot of times what happens is, even before we know that they're doing this, even before we know that it's our mother, our sisters, our cousins, our brothers who are shifting all the blame of their problems or in reality onto you, we get to a point to where many of us walk away. And those of you who've been following me know that that's where I am. In May, I finally had to say, you know what? I am not the person that you describe. If you want to look at me as though I am the spawn of the devil and not call yourself the devil, leave me alone. Like, literally, just don't talk to me. Don't tap me on the shoulder. Don't ask me how I'm doing. I don't understand how you can think I'm so bad, but then want to be a part of my life. This is something that you have to open up to. I've also let them know, hey, you're the one that's got to self-evaluate the things that you're doing. I cannot come back if you're going to continue to lie on me, continue to gossip, continue to take all my information and speak negatively of it. The power in the tongue is real, you guys. And if you have a lot of people out there just trying to crush your dreams and get in your way, eventually that will take an effect on you, whether you know about it or not. So I'd much rather not invite somebody who's trying to kill, steal, and destroy any dream or hope that I have about life into my particular space. And I let them know that through all this gossip and all this talking, and it's evil, and I want no part. Now, I've given them some things that they could do, like go to therapy, take some accountability, do whatever else. And then basically saying that a newer version of you has to start emerging, because I cannot go back and accept the older version. And that's where, like I said, a lot of us get to. We end up closing that door to the covert narcissist that is scapegoating us and going about our lives. But ever so often, they want to creak that door back open. And it can happen so subtly, you guys, you don't know that it's happening. Like, you really have to be fed up before you get to a point of recognizing, absolutely not. You're trying to bait me back into this scenario where I'm the bad guy and I'm not doing it. And I'm going to give you guys some simple examples of how the people that you have left behind, the ones that scapegoat you, the ones that need to blame you for everything when you leave them behind, how they try to come back into your life. Like I said, it's not as easy as it is when it comes to those businessy dynamics, those life dynamics where you can simply, hey, here's the truth. You're responsible for this. I'm responsible for this. You do your part. I'll do my part. Because again, they don't see anything abnormal about this. First, I'm going to tell you the number one reason why they come back is because they've run out of energy. Is the truth. They've run out of the conversations that they've had about you. It has now hit that redundant wall of XYZ. They just don't talk to me. And so a lot of people are telling them, well, why don't you go out there and say something to them? Why don't you go out there and ask them how they're doing? The reason why is because, again, they want to get you wrapped back up into this cycle of doom, I guess, again. Because if you do just accept them back into your life, it's only a matter of time before they're lying on you, throwing you under the bus, calling you the devil, the whole 9 yards. But if you don't talk to them, then they get their victimization card back. So now they can go back to that handful of people and say, I tried, and they don't want anything to do with me. They don't like me. They're pushing me out. And they can go back and get that warmth and support that they've kind of been missing. Because again, they used you to fill a lot of these conversations that they were having with people. And now that you're not there, they can't do that. And so they get a few more weeks of the pity. They get a few more weeks of the fuel to the fire. And then they'll start coming back again and again. The best thing that you can do is to completely ignore it. Seriously, I had the same thing happen with a family member to me just yesterday. Right after I made that, scapegoating video, and I told you guys I had the revelation, God let me know what was really going on. Then this person comes to try to tap me on the shoulder and be like, hey, this is what's going on in my life, without taking any accountability, without any acknowledgement of their wrongdoing. The same exact person that caused me years of trauma and harm is now back in my life to get more energy from me so they can talk about how bad I am again. The only thing that you can do, and the best thing that you can do, is to simply ignore it. There are going to be times when you can hit them in the face with truth again. Like, listen, I have already told you, when you can take accountability for your actions, I will be right here. But they're not going to hear that. The only way that things change is that when they do come back to you, and they actually offer you some type of an apology. Not one that you have to tell them to give you. Because a lot of times with a narcissist, they'll get so desperate for that energy to fuel their narcissism that they'll start doing whatever it is that you want them to do so that you can relax and they can go back to using you accordingly. No, you have to wait until they've had that softened heart come in and they actually do say, hey, listen, I value the relationship that I have with you. I see that I did A, B, C, X, Y, Z. I can recognize that that is not going to build love and a strong character or a foundation. I can't really have anything with you if I'm doing those things. I have made a change. I've turned a corner. At that point, then you can say, oh, okay, well, I will begin to try to take steps with you and open that door to you. And you have to do it with caution because, again, as people are learning and growing, they are bound to mess up. But it's up to you to really be able to evaluate the content of the character and their heart to see if they really, truly can move forward. So again, in a family dynamic, it's very difficult. It's not as easy as with a business one because the incentive to get along just isn't there. A lot of times they're only there to feed off of you and get those negative conversations that put them in self-victimization mode and get the support that they're used to. And until they actually come to you without you prompting them, I recommend before you close the door on anybody who's being a covert narcissist, anybody who's scapegoating you, anybody who's harming you physically, well, sooner than physically, anybody who's just harming you mentally, I recommend that you go ahead and tell them the truth, because that truth is going to set you free. And like I told you guys yesterday, when you hit freedom, there's a release that takes place, but the relief doesn't come until you say, I'm no longer going to burden myself in order to provide you with more convenience. And that's what you're doing. Until you get to the point to where you say, I'm not going to accept any more problems to make your life easier, then you'll be stuck in this dynamic. So when you get to that point, it's just really a waiting game for them to make some obvious change that you don't have to pull out of them. When they do come and apologize and say, oops, my bad, this is what's going on, and start taking accountability, you're probably the more mature one at this point, and can walk with them accordingly without falling back into the trap. But until then, my biggest and best suggestion is just to ignore it. Absolutely not. I don't even care if you're going to get the next 3 to 5 days worth of support out of those same people that you always get support out of when you're talking negatively of me. But I'm not. You can keep playing that game as much as you want to. The next time you try to talk to me, I'm not going to talk to you back at all, and you can tell people that story if you want to keep it that way. Until they actually acknowledge that they have a change to make and present that to you, there's really no way to fix that dynamic, because there's no incentive. The only incentive is to continue to burden you with all their issues, and that's something that you're not willing to do anymore. Have a blessed day, you guys.